Warning, this review may contain spoilers. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey everybody, welcome to everybody's favorite podcast, Along for the Ride. We're going to be spinning the good old wheel over here for topics today. Hey Bill, would you like to give it a spin?
Sure, yeah, why not? I'll spin.
Alright, here it goes. Hey, we got movies again.
I just want to point out, I like how you made the sounds of the wheel spin.
Well, yeah, because otherwise, because I have a real wheel here, obviously.
I could have added in like a sound effect for wheels, but I'm not going to now. I'm just gonna go
Yeah,
ahead.
you don't know, because I obviously have a real wheel here. You don't need to save you the trouble.
Oh yeah, okay, sure, all right, yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, all right.
We do this every time, actually. There's a real wheel that sits in my room, always, that I spin, and that's how we decide topics. We definitely don't just determine the topic before we start recording. That's not how that works.
Of course not, no.
So, alright.
Alright.
Should we spin the second wheel to figure out which movie we're watching today?
Sure.
Because this is the bonus round. Alright, everybody. Bill, spin that wheel!
There we go.
Hey, okay, so we got the movie Soul by Disney. Oh, shit. It went one more. My bad. So today we're reviewing The Little Things. And that's the bad ending. You don't get the $1 million prize.
The Little Things, directed by John Lee Hancock, stars an elderly Denzel Washington. He plays Deke, a burnt-out Kern County detective. He's not a detective, he's a deputy sheriff, and he teams up with Baxter, a LAPD detective, to nab a serial killer that has been kind of around, I guess. I don't know. They don't really explain it that much, but I guess it's the same killer that Denzel Washington character, worked. It doesn't really matter, I guess. And basically, these two characters team up and try to solve a mystery.
So whenever we're gonna do a movie review, you always just will send me movie title. It's never a movie I've heard of, and that's cool and good because I love going into movies completely blind. How do you find these movies? That's always my question. I'm assuming you just keep up with what's out.
Yeah, so just kind of some of my first impressions really of this movie was I'd seen a trailer for it once, and I was like, it looks alright, and I was like, okay. And then I just kind of keep up with what's in theaters and what's coming out on streaming services and whatnot. But I just saw that it was in theaters, and I was like, you know what? I mean, I saw the trailer, it looked alright, and I wouldn't mind going to see it. So I was like, hey, do you want to go see this movie? And we can talk about it. And you were like, yeah, man, sure.
Yeah, let's do it. It's always a treat to go see a movie with you, even if the movie's not that good. Because if it's bad, we could talk about how it's not good. So
there we go.
Yeah, content. We've done it. All I had so you pitched this movie, and all I had was the name The Little Things, and I definitely thought that this was going to be some kind of documentary about a small world or something, some kind of ants type, or what's that movie, ants movie, Pixar's Ants. Literally I was taking it very literally, where it was literally small.
Dude, what if this was the sequel to A Bug's Life?
That was the movie I was trying to think of but could not name. I was like, Ants is a movie. Ants is just a worse Bug's Life, I'm pretty sure.
Literally Ants is just a ripoff of A Bug's Life. That's literally what Ants is.
Anyway.
So give us your overall thoughts on the movie. Did you like it? Were you bored? Just give us your overall thoughts on the movie.
It took 2 hours for the movie to not pay off. I don't like that. So, I don't know, man.
It's just the first and the third act were fine, I guess. I mean, they were structured fine. But I think what really dragged the movie down was that the second act, that middle chunk of the movie, was just way too long and way too bloated. They had both a lot of things going on, but none of it really mattered. So it seemed like there wasn't a lot going on. So So it was just kind of boring to me, like that middle chunk where I was just kind of sitting there being like, I just want this movie to end already.
I liken this movie to like a game of Clue. Nothing is really happening for the whole game, and then you don't even get the cool, satisfying payoff of eventually nailing the killer. The game just ends, and you're like, okay, so who did it? And you're like, I can't tell you. It's like, what the hell? Why did we play Clue for 2 hours to not have a winner? What the hell?
That's because you suck at Clue, Diego.
No! I haven't played Clue in a while, but I kind of want to now.
What I thought for some of the performances here of just like our main characters and even some of our side characters, I thought that Denzel Washington was okay. I think he clearly just really didn't care that much about the movie, but I think there were some scenes with him where they were pretty good. Like there was that one scene in the hotel room. He had like the pictures of like the old victims, you know, and he was like crying on the bed. He's like, I don't remember what he said. He was like, the past comes back to the future or something like that. Yeah, it was something like that. And I thought that scene with him was pretty good. And he had like little moments here and there where he was good, but I think overall he was just kind of there. He didn't really care that much.
It's just sad old man.
And you know what, Diego? He doesn't even have to act for that because he is a sad old man.
He was just actually playing himself in that movie. There was no acting.
Rami Malek plays Jimmy Baxter. He's like a LAPD detective, like a newcomer, and
fresh on the scene.
Yeah, and I thought he was, again, just kind of okay. I don't know. They're like, it's basically the same thing as Denzel Washington, where I thought he was good in like a few scenes, but for the majority of the movie, he was just kind of saying his lines and not really caring that much.
There's nothing to his character, so it wasn't very interesting to see him act, I guess. Like, there was just nothing that he really did that really, like, blew me out of the water, because the character is just so blank slate feeling. He's the new guy, and he's also, like, the prodigy, but, like, that is such a boring character trait. He's also father, but that comes up, like, once.
I think that's one of the main reasons as to why both Rami Malek and Denzel Washington aren't very good. I think you're right, is that both of their characters just aren't very interesting. So, I mean, even if you are, like, a really good actor, and both Denzel Washington and Rami Malek can be really good actors, but if they're not given anything really, like, in the script, then they can't really do much. So I think you're definitely right as that the script really influences the actors, really, I would say.
Denzel Washington, I think, had more to work with, but at the same time, it's still not a very interesting character role.
I want to just briefly mention, we need to talk about Jared Leto.
You mean the Joker, baby. So Jared Leto's character is, he is Guy. He's a self-proclaimed crime buff. And our two main characters totally think that he did the murder. Not only the most, like, recent murder, but Denzel Washington's character is even pretty sure that he might have also been linked to the murder case from 5 years ago that we see, like, right at the beginning of the movie. Jared Leto, I think he's the most interesting character to watch on screen, but not because he's, like, an interesting character, but it's just because the way that he is in his role is being crazy. Like, you're kind of just watching for, like, reactions, and you're looking for, like, things.
I would agree. His character really isn't that interesting. He's just like crazy guy, but his performance is actually like kind of intimidating, I would say. He's very strange, and I also want to mention his walk. I think it was just Jared Leto just having fun on set. He was like, I really don't care about this movie. I'm just gonna do whatever I want to do. And he just has this stupid walk where he's just like, he has like his gut out, and he's just like has his arms kind of out a little bit too, and he's just like walking along, like doing like really massive steps. It's really funny to watch on scene.
And there's a lot of time where we're just spending watching him move around because of, reasons. So
also, he never ever changes out of his work uniform.
He never changes out of his work uniform. They couldn't afford to buy the Joker another costume.
I know, I was like, what is going on? Like, why is he not... So basically, Jared Leto's character works at this appliance place where he goes out and he fixes appliances for people. And he has like this work uniform. It's like this like gray work uniform with like overalls or whatever. He just basically is always wearing it no matter what. Like he'll go to like a club and he's just wearing it. It'll be like in like the middle of the night and he's just wearing it for some reason. And I'm like, does he just not have like another pair of clothes to wear, or were they just like, it's fine, no one's gonna notice that he just doesn't.
I do think it's
clothes.
funny because you definitely see other clothes like in his apartment or whatever.
Yeah, it's so stupid.
He definitely has another pair of clothes. He just decides to wear only his work uniform.
Just give the man a chance to change his clothes. Like, come on, like, what's going on here?
He doesn't have a shot because they're watching him. He's really nervous about being seen naked.
Give us some stuff that you liked and some stuff that you didn't like.
We follow Denzel Washington, and he goes to Los Angeles. He gets like transferred there to go do a thing, and he meets up with like some of his old colleagues. We find Freddie Mercury giving an interview, and he's like talking about this like recent murder case. Not important. The murder case is like a big thing, but it's also not important because they don't really care. Like the details of that murder case aren't specific. Freddie Mercury, as like a sign of like friendship, I guess, because I can't really explain why. Is like, hey, why don't you come to this most recent murder victim's place and we'll just like scope out the scene a little bit, do a little bit of reconnaissance. Denzel Washington is just like fixated what I would argue to be like the wrong things, or the little things if you want to put it in the movies.
Hey, there we go. All right.
He like goes across the street to like a peep house, like a peephole in like a room. I'm like, okay. I don't know. It just seems like a lot of stuff. Like, where did the weapon go? She got stabbed and like really brutally stabbed too. Where did the weapon go?
I'm guessing that the murderer probably just took it with them because the murderer was smart.
Didn't they also say that the murderer came in through the window and then also left through the window, like the fire escape window?
Yeah, and then I remember a scene where the guy was like, I don't know, I don't remember the exact scene, but I remember because they said that at the crime scene that the guy went through the window, but then I remember a different scene where they were saying that he went through the front door instead, and I'm like, so did he go through the front door or through the window? Like, I'm confused.
Oh, that's right, because they did say that, like, oh, you let him in,
yeah,
and that was your mistake. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, didn't you guys say that he came in through the window? One of the things that I think came up was like she had beer in her fridge, and also all the food was spoiled because the fridge was broken. And so that leads Denzel Washington down a trail of like, let's see if the murderer might be a person that works at this appliance company or this appliance repair shop. Meanwhile, Freddie Mercury is just kind of like, yeah, let's do this thing. Let's kill it. Well, Denzel Washington is like, I took a couple days off to go do my own detective work under the jurisdiction of nobody, I guess, because he just wants to. He works on his day off. Pretty much.
Yeah, like I think that crossed my mind a little bit during the movie. I'm like, okay, how is this guy not getting in trouble? Because he's not under any jurisdiction, and for some reason Rami Malek was like, yeah, okay, I'll just let you come along with me. I'm like, how is this not like breaking any rule books here? Like, what's going on here?
So there's a scene where they break into Jared Leto's house, and I'm like, and it's purely because they can't get a search warrant for his place, because if I remember correctly, like they were one identifier away from needing a search warrant, and they couldn't just give it to them because there's like laws and shit. And Jared Leto like catches on to this and is like, I'm gonna call the police, or say that there's a man, like an officer down in the house. And my only thought was, how did he make that call?
Yeah, it's like, did he do it via 911? Because, I mean, I guess that kind of makes sense. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know if they would believe that. Like, because I don't know. Because, like, it's just weird.
And then Denzel Washington just, like, also gets away. He, like, climbs on the roof, and I'm sitting there like, how did nobody see him? He's on the roof.
I know, they, like, and he was, like, it's not like the house is, like, super tall or anything, or, like, if he goes on the roof, then, like, he's kind of hidden. The house is just, like, a normal house, and he's just on the roof.
A little tall, but it's, like, you're not, like, being sneaky.
I know.
You're just on
It was so stupid, dude, because... Yeah, and then, like, the whole house was just, like, surrounded by cops, and, like, they weren't, like, up close to where they can't see the roof. They were farther back, so it's like they should have easily seen this guy on the roof. It was so funny.
Yeah.
Also, something I just wanted to point out. I've seen this trope, like, many times, but I just didn't really catch on to it until, like, this movie for some reason. I really don't like the trope of having one of your main characters drive like an antique car or like an older car. So like Denzel Washington drives like this older like rusty GMC like SUV, and then Jared Leto drives like this. I think it's like a Chevy Chevelle, like from like the late 70s or early 70s. I just don't like, because I've seen it in so many movies where like it's almost like they're trying to give like a character more characterization by giving them like a unique car, and I'm like, that doesn't work. It just means that they drive a unique car. Like I don't really care about what car they drive. Like just give them a regular SUV. Like I don't understand. Like what's the point of that?
I will say that the interesting thing about them using like a unique car is, so at the beginning of the movie, they show like this girl and she's driving along the highway, and like she's running away from this actual like guy, and they're driving like that unique car. The thing that confuses me about that intro scene is, yeah, it's a unique car and that's cool. She like was driving and this guy was in his car, and she gets out of her car. Why? It's not like your car was out of gas. She like pulls over into like this gas station / bar, but she didn't like need the gas. They never made it clear that she needed gas. If she did, that's another thing. And so instead of like, I don't know. This is also like the main character. This isn't the main character. This is like who the main character is trying to find in the movie. And so like he keeps asking Jared Leto like, where is she? Where is this girl? Literally like Batman, like, where is she? And he's literally the Joker. And he's like, I don't know. I didn't kill her. But also he's really weird, so he's like, I'm just gonna play along with this. It's fun.
One thing I do want to mention about that opening, that opening was pretty dumb, but I will say I did appreciate it, because a lot of like the older like slasher movies from like the 80s would use like this like opening sting, where they would have like this just focus on like this one or two characters where they're just like driving along, or there's something else going on, and then they get killed, and that's how the movie opens. And I thought
she doesn't die though.
I know, I thought that was going to happen. And I was like, okay, this is pretty dumb, but I do appreciate like the reference to those kind of openings. But yeah, like why did she get out of the car?
Why did she get out of the car? She didn't need to. She was probably more protected in the car. You're better off just driving until, and like it's not like she's in the middle of the desert. I mean, she kind of is, but you can also see like in the distance on that shot, like there are buildings. There's like a city. Maybe a couple 100 miles ahead of you, not even. You could just keep driving.
Yeah,
in your car.
I don't know, like, and then I'm guessing she got out because she wanted to try and get someone to help her. But at the same time, she pulled off to like this like restaurant, and there's clearly no one in the restaurant.
It was
all dark.
Clearly dark, and the sign was off. Like, nobody's there.
Yeah, and I was like, what? Like, why are you stopping? There's clearly no one here. Just keep going.
So that beginning scene ends with her like jumping in front of this semi truck that's coming, and she like stops it, and then you just see her like actually collapse onto the floor from like exhaustion, I assume. And then it's just weird because it's like we don't get any kind of conclusion about what she did. There was no conclusion to what she did or if she's okay.
She does come back into the movie. Did you?
She does.
Yeah.
She does, because she's the character that they're looking for the whole time. You never get like a conclusive, is she okay?
No, wait. I think you're getting a little confused, because the one that they're looking for is the one that was like jogging. Remember that? She was like jogging, and then like
that's
see that
true.
one car. The girl in the opening is the same girl that comes back when she's like the one like witness they have that they're trying to like try and identify them. That's the same girl as the opening.
Oh, I thought that they were this. Okay, that is such a shame too, that she can't identify the guy purely because she saw Jared Leto's character like in the office on the same day.
It does make sense though. Like it does make sense that Witness is now like faulty because she's been tainted by stuff in like the police precinct. Yeah.
No, that's fair. No. I agree. I still stand by the fact that like you definitely should not take her witness a testimony anymore because she's definitely tainted.
Well, first of all, I know I don't really particularly talk about this a lot, but I did want to mention the score of the movie, or like the soundtrack. It was really bland. I really can't remember anything from it, which I
There
think
was like
is
that
a problem.
one song that plays every now and then, and when Denzel Washington's on screen, and that was the only thing I noticed. Other than that, it was really nothing.
Yeah, there was really nothing to it, and I think, and plus I like to listen to movie soundtracks. That's one of the things I like to do. I think that a movie should have a decent score that is recognizable, because then you can start to build emotion based on the score. But there just really wasn't anything there in the movie. Like you said, like every once in a while something would show up, and I was like, okay, cool, but it really wasn't that memorable.
There are like there's a lot of scenes of them just sitting,
Yeah.
walking around, driving, stuff that in the grand scheme of things is just really mundane. And so how do you score the mundane, I guess?
Very true, very true. One scene that I really liked was the scene where Denzel Washington is following Jared Leto's character, and then they get on this highway, but then Jared Leto pulls over, and then Denzel Washington's like, well, I can't pull over too, otherwise he's gonna know. So he goes up for a little bit, but then he eventually pulls over, and then he like turns around to go back, and he sees that Jared Leto is on the other side of the highway now. So he goes over to the other side, but then Jared Leto follows suit. So basically, like for like 2 minutes, they just keep like switching sides on the highway. I really liked that scene. I thought that was pretty funny, but also kind of like intimidating as well. And I liked like the follow-up of that scene where Jared Leto just kind of pulls up and he's like, how's the trunk space? And I was like, perfect.
Oh wait, we should explain why that's funny.
So basically Denzel Washington's character, I don't remember his name, whatever,
Deacon.
Yeah, Deacon. So basically Deacon like goes to like Jared Leto's house for the first time, and he sees the car for sale, his car for sale, and one of the things that they established was maybe a indicator of the murderer was that their car was an older car and they had high mileage, and he sees that the car has like, I think it was like over 450,000 miles on it, and he's like, okay, this might be the murderer. And then Jared Leto comes out and he's like, can I help you? And he's like, I saw the for sale sign, I want your car. And Jared Leto was basically like, I don't care, it's not for sale. Deacon was like, how's the trunk space? Jared Leto's like, it's standard. And then it comes up again in the one scene I mentioned, and I was like, that's perfect. Too easy.
I will say that it is funny because it's very clear that Denzel Washington, like by just asking how's the trunk space, is like clearly like, can you fit a body in there?
Yeah.
Can the body fit in this trunk? How much trunk can I fit in this car? I will say it is interesting because they later like swab his car for like blood or whatever, and they don't find any.
Yeah. Well, what happened is Jared Leto apparently had 2 cars. It's like barely mentioned, but then
I think he bought another car.
Yeah.
I think he just bought another car.
So yeah, so then what they find is they find his old car abandoned on the highway, and they're like, okay, cool, we're gonna swab it and we'll probably find something, and then they just don't find anything, and I'm like, okay.
And Freddie Mercury is like, no, you have to keep looking. There has to be something in this car. There isn't. This is one of those movies where they want you to like determine your own ending. At the end of the movie, Jared Leto and Freddie Mercury, they go on a drive. And because I purely think it's because Jared Leto is just really sick of being spied on, essentially, because they kind of just follow him around. Jared Leto's like, fine, I guess I'll take you to her body. And he takes them to like an open field where there's like nothing. And he's like, she's around here. Here's a shovel. Get digging. And Freddie Mercury's like, no, you're going to be the one digging. And he's like, well, I have no reason to dig, and if you kill me, that's a federal crime. You're gonna be the one digging. And so Freddie Mercury starts digging. Two problems with this scene. One, if this guy is suspected a murderer, why would you get in his car? Even the Joker goes, you patted me down, I've got no weapons. And I'm sitting there like, but you could in the car. There can be weapons in the car. Freddie Mercury clearly goes like, let me think about that. He's like, I'm gonna wait for Denzel Washington, and the Joker goes, no, your friend isn't invited. And I'm sitting there like, what the fuck? Like, why would you offer? I guess at this point he's just so broken and tired because Up until this point, they haven't gotten any sleep for like 3 days.
That scene just didn't make any sense to me. Where I was like, okay, I definitely agree. Where I was like, you should not be getting in this car with him, yet you are.
He does, and they go, and then Denzel Washington's like, shit, I gotta follow them with my car.
Oh yeah, and then we had a brief laugh of when he was like, he just like threw the coffee on the ground. He was like, I gotta follow him.
Pretty much, so the reason Denzel Washington leaves is because he's like, I'm gonna go get a watch battery, because not only is my watch out of battery, but do you also want anything? And he's like, I'll take a coffee. So he gets 2 coffees. So yeah, he throws the coffee on the ground. No!
We were just like, no, what? Like, why?
No, a perfectly good coffee.
Anyway.
Also, that gas station looks super dingy, and I would not have trusted the coffee from there anyway.
Yeah.
He's like, it's like self-serve coffee in like styrofoam cups, and I'm like, I don't trust that. And the motel he's in, I also don't trust that. There's so much dingy parts of this movie. I get that we're like in Los Angeles, and it's like, that's not a very good town, but I still stand by the fact that Denzel Washington probably could have gotten himself at least a slightly nicer apartment. Or a place to stay.
Yeah, or something. Like,
There's something.
I don't know.
He buys a car later. He has the money.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, he buys himself a car.
He buys himself a car, I think, so that Jared Leto will not know that that's...
Yeah, exactly. But it's like, why would you just buy a whole car for that? Like, just like rent a car or something, man. Like, why are you buying a car?
Also, we don't get explanation of where the car goes. I guess he gives it to Freddie Mercury as like a parting gift, I guess.
Yeah, he's like...
It's not like Freddie Mercury has a car for most of this movie. Or if he does, it's like his own like black car, and this is like a blue car. So I guess Freddie Mercury just procures this car.
I don't know. Oh man.
Sorry that you murdered a guy. Here's a brand new car.
So what happens is eventually, so like Jared Leto is like taunting Rami Malek. Okay, like you're worth nothing and your job is pointless. And eventually Rami Malek just snaps and he just like whips around with a shovel and smacks Jared Leto right in the face. And then...
Also, that shovel hit does not look like it would be strong enough to take out the man, but alright.
I thought of that too. Like, I honestly thought that Jared Leto was gonna get back up, because I'm like, there's no way that killed him. But I guess it did. And so he's like, oh crap, what am I gonna do?
And then finally Denzel Washington appears, because apparently he couldn't figure out that the gate was unlocked the whole time. The gate that they go through to get to the area, Jared Leto asks Freddie Mercury to like open it with a key. Why does he have the space? Where does all this land come from? Or how did he get permission to be here?
I don't know. I was like, does he own this land for some reason?
If he owns this land, then why is he like kind of in a crappy situation? Couldn't he just sell the land to get some extra money? Freddie Mercury, I assume, very least, is like, he's digging holes all night because Jared Leto's like, there is stuff in the ground. Like, she's buried somewhere in the ground here. He also very clearly, like, says, I didn't kill her. Like, I've never killed anybody in my whole life. And there's also, like, a scene from earlier where they're like, he did plead to guilty before to murdering somebody, but then was proven innocent later. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, I don't think it's actually him. I think he's just weird and also kind of insane.
And then what happens is Denzel Washington and Rami Malek, well, it's not really Rami Malek, it's mostly just Denzel Washington's character. He's like, okay, we're gonna bury the body because...
You gotta cover this up.
Yeah, basically you gotta cover this up, otherwise you're going to jail for the rest of your life.
And then this is a specific flashback to, like, Denzel Washington killed a woman.
Yeah.
After, like, investigating a crime scene. And I guess this is important. Now you've fucked up Freddie Mercury. He's forever gone. You've ruined this man. And, like, even after this, at, like, towards the, like, right at the end of the movie, you see him, like, sitting with his kids at the pool, and he's, like, broken. He's just a broken man.
It's just not very satisfying.
The girl that they are looking for is somebody who's been missing for, they say, like, I think a week. I could be wrong. She's missing. Anyway, the important thing is he goes and, like, interviews her parents, and they say whenever she goes running, she wears a red beret. And I definitely thought of, like, the hat, not the kind of hair tie that they were talking about. But alright, after they bury what's-his-face, Denzel Washington goes back to Jared Leto's house, bags up all of his things, and, like, really cleans out the place, I guess. I don't know why he just decides to go do this thing. overnight while Jared Leto takes care of the body and digs another hole. And then the next day in the morning, they finish burying the body and they each go back to their own separate houses. Denzel Washington is going through all of Jared Leto's things, nothing for the most part. It seems like he finds nothing. Freddie Mercury gets delivered an envelope by Denzel Washington, and he goes, the red beret is in there with like a little note that says no angels or whatever, because that was another thing that came up on multiple times in the movie. Denzel Washington's burning all of Jared Leto's things along with the like a clip of like 3 berets, one of them being red and the red one being missing, and he like throws that in the fire. He's like, I can't let this man know that we didn't actually get the guy. I'm like, we need to know who did it. That's like the whole point of this movie.
Yeah, the ending is not definitive, which I think is a problem, definitely. And I just want to say briefly, too, that I think that a ambiguous ending can be beneficial for certain movies, but if you're trying to do a murder mystery, it doesn't work because your audience is just going to be left unsatisfied and just like kind of empty because they want to know who did it, and then you're just kind of like, it could be this guy or maybe not, I don't know. And then the movie just kind of ends, and it's not satisfying at all.
For our 3 main characters, one of them's dead, the other one's fucking broken, and the third guy, I assume, like, at the very least, Denzel Washington is like, I don't know if is he satisfied? Maybe.
I don't know, dude. It's not really made clear.
Think, and then not only that, the case still isn't closed because the upper board or whatever, I forget what they're actually called, like comes in and takes over the case. What happens when they find the guy, the real guy? What happens then?
That's a very good question, Diego.
I don't know. Does Freddie Mercury just get forever scarred because he murdered a person? I guess so.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. So, just to summarize real quickly, Jared Leto's character is dead, and he's actually innocent. So, like, we think he's innocent. At least you and I both think he's innocent.
Yeah, we both think he's innocent. He's just kind of... I don't know why he toys with the police so much. Like, I get he's a crime buff, but he just, like, plays with them so much.
Yeah, it's weird.
For
yeah,
no good reason.
Like he's just kind of an ass. He just kind of like toys with them for no reason. It's not really explained.
Did he deserve to die? Did he deserve to die?
No, definitely
because
not.
He definitely didn't do it, or he probably didn't do it. There's not enough evidence that points to him actually being the killer. He didn't deserve to die. He was kind of being a dick though.
And then Rami Malek's character is basically just like broken inside now, which is horrible. I mean, and to be fair, he did kill someone, so that is understandable. That's not satisfying at all either. And then Denzel Washington's character just kind of like walks off into the sunset and kind of just burns his stuff and goes back home. And I'm like, cool. So like, there's not really a lot of resolution with Denzel
the dog
Washington's
didn't
characters.
die.
Oh yeah, I honestly completely forgot about the dog.
The dog shows up for one scene and never again. Never mentioned.
I was happy with that because I didn't want to have a repeat.
At least the dog didn't die this time.
I didn't want a repeat of The Marksman where they try and force like some kind of emotional moment with the dog down your throat. So I was happy that the dog didn't show up anymore. I was happy it was just a one and done. I was okay with that. Also, should we talk about the way he kills the stripper too, really quick?
Yeah, because it really made me angry.
So like, well, to be fair, the stripper was pretty stupid too. She didn't really like.
That's what makes me angry about it, is that she was being an idiot.
Yeah, so like she's like in this forest with the other like victims, but she's not dead. She's moving around and stuff. She's fine. She's walking around. But then like it's established that the cops have been there for a while and she's still just kind of in the forest.
Not only that, but they also established that, because I think they even say like the bodies are still warm, this just happened or whatever. And so Denzel Washington, like, they're starting to investigate the scene because they just got it. And so Denzel Washington is like searching around, and girl pops up essentially out of the woodwork, and Denzel Washington jumps the gun and shoots her right in the heart. There's like, that scene to me is really funny, only because Denzel Washington shoots her, and then like there's no emotion behind his eyes for like that part of the flashback scene. He just kind of stands there. He's like, I'm making a face, but you can't see it. Shit. He just sits there cold faced. She should have said something.
Exactly.
She didn't. She should have had her hands up, or she should have said like, I'm innocent. She's by the road. She could go out to the road.
To be fair, Denzel Washington is not innocent at all either, because I think as a cop or a detective, you're trained to not shoot first. I think you're trained to, like, ask questions. And so he's just like, oh, person, shoot. And then it's like, what? Like, doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Like, what? Like, I remember when I watched it, I was like, what just happened? Like, what?
Why did he shoot?
Yeah.
There was nothing that indicated a threat. Would you recommend this movie, Bill?
No, I would not. I would not recommend this movie. It's way too long. It's not satisfying at all. It's kind of boring. Our characters aren't very interesting. The performances are okay at best. I would not recommend it at all. I think the only way I would recommend it is to not see it in theaters. Like, if it goes to streaming and you can watch it on your TV, I would say maybe have it on the background and then you can tune in for the exciting moments. And even if you are paying attention to the movie, the moments are kind of confusing at sometimes. But I would say definitely not go see this in the theater.
It's like way too long and too little actually happens, so nothing actually justifies that length. The ending is so upsettingly, like, it's so upsetting because they try to do like 3 different twists and none of them feel that good anyway. Yeah, no, I don't recommend this movie.
Very good, very good. We're 0 for 2 here on movies on the podcast. This is not good.
We'll have to watch a good movie next time. All right. Let's see what today's grand prize is. It's $5 and a couple of lost copies. A couple lost copies, a red beret, and 75 cents worth of change, but it's all in nickels. That's that's the grand prize for today. Congrats!
Oh no.
Who's our sponsor for today, Bill?
No one.
Bill, just plug your socials. You're the sponsor.
No. Okay, our sponsor for today is
It's me. I'm the sponsor.
me. I'm the sponsor of this episode. I have a Twitter, and we have a podcast Twitter.
I have my own personal Twitter. You have your own personal Twitter if you guys want to follow us. I mean, I don't know. I post about video game stuff a lot on Twitter.
I post a lot of stuff about movies, so there we go.
Well, you and I do need to do a video game episode. This needs to happen at some point. But so that's coming down the pipeline. I don't know what the next topic's gonna be. I guess you'll just have to tune in next time to find out.
Or don't. It's fine.
All right, everybody, tune in for the next episode of Along for the Ride. In the next episode, we'll talk about more stuff, I guess. We need like a little outro jingle, like a the Wheel of Fuck. Shit. I was gonna say the Wheel of Fortune. That's not our show, and I probably could get sued for that. No. Along for the ride. Da 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 da. See you next time. Ciao.